Welcome to my channel, friends. Today we explored the story of the 2 shillings coin, a true piece of history and treasure. Moneybag, if you enjoyed this journey into rare coins, don't forget to like, thumbs up, subscribe bell, and leave a comment speech balloon to share your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more amazing coin discoveries right here. Would you like me to also make you a short intro version, like 15 to 20 seconds, that matches this outro so you can use it across all your coin videos? Welcome to my channel, friends. Today we explored the story of the 2 shillings coin, a true piece of history and treasure. Moneybag, if you enjoyed this journey into rare coins, don't forget to like, thumbs up, subscribe bell, and leave a comment speech balloon to share your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more amazing coin discoveries right here. Would you like me to also make you a short intro version, like 15 to 20 seconds, that matches this outro so you can use it across all your coin videos? Welcome to my channel, friends. Today we explored the story of the 2 shillings coin, a true piece of history and treasure. Moneybag, if you enjoyed this journey into style script, about 1,000 to 1,200 words in paragraph form, for your YT channel, in your Coin Quest World style, about the 1984 United Kingdom 2 shillings coin, George of 6 DG BROMN Rex FID Def IND Legend style, with full history, design breakdown, collector value, and the treasure hunt hype. Here's a full version you can use. Movie camera YouTube script, 1984 UK 2 shillings coin. Welcome to Coin Quest World. Globe showing Europe Africa. Today we are diving into another mind-blowing discovery in the world of coin collecting. Berthoam, you might be treasure worth millions. These ultra-rare UK coins are sending shockwaves through the collecting community, and the coin under the spotlight today is the United Kingdom 2 shillings coin of 1984. Now, before you jump up and rush to your coin jars, let's set the record straight. The 2 shilling coin, often known as a florin, has one of the richest and most fascinating histories in British coinage. And while by 1984 Britain had transitioned into decimal coinage, the older 2 shilling coins, especially those carrying the traditional inscriptions like George of 6 DG BROMN Rex FID Def IND remain legendary among collectors. Let's explore why this coin could be a hidden treasure, what makes it so fascinating, and why some varieties or rare survival pieces are believed to be worth a fortune. The story of the 2 shilling coin goes back to 1849, when the very first florin was introduced under Queen Victoria. It was designed as a step toward decimalization, valued at 1/10 of a pound, or 2 shillings. Fast forward through the reigns of Edward VII, George V, and George VI, and the 2 shilling became a beloved part of the British pocket. On the obverse, coins often carry the Latin legend you've heard before, George of 6 DG BROMN Rex FID Def IND. That translates to George VI, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, Defender of the Faith, Emperor of India. This inscription itself is a fascinating relic of history, connecting the coin to Britain's role as a global empire before Indian independence in 1947. After that, the IND portion was dropped, but early issues are treasured by historians and collectors alike. By the time 1984 arrived, Britain had already moved fully into decimal currency. The florin had been technically replaced by the 10-pence coin in 1971, but many people continued using their old 2 shillings because, by size and value, they were identical to the new 10p. It wasn't until 1993 that the large 10p coins were reduced in size and the old florins finally vanished from circulation. This means that in the 1980s, it was still possible to find 2 shillings in your change, including coins from the George VI and Elizabeth II eras. For collectors, this overlap is what makes 1984 so fascinating. It marks the twilight of the florin in circulation, and any surviving pieces discovered today in pristine condition can spark huge excitement. Now, let's talk about the design. On the obverse of George VI coins, we see the portrait of the king, modeled by Humphrey Paget, which shows George VI facing left. Surrounding him is that powerful Latin legend we mentioned. On the reverse, depending on the exact year and type, you may find the crowned Tudor rose flanked by thistles, shamrocks, and leeks, symbols of England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, representing the unity of the United Kingdom. Later, some florins bore more modern stylized versions of these heraldic symbols. The coin was made of copper-nickel after 1947, as silver was withdrawn from circulation. This switch is itself significant, because earlier florins made of 50% silver carry far greater bullion and collector value, while post-1947 pieces are prized mostly for their history, condition, and rarity of varieties. So, what about value? Here is where things get interesting. A standard circulated 1940s or 1950s 2 shilling coin may only be worth a few pounds today. However, uncirculated pieces, proof issues, or rare minting errors can jump into the hundreds, even thousands. By the 1980s, people were hoarding florins as keepsakes of the pre-decimal system, and certain pieces that survived in gem condition are now worth serious money. Collectors especially search for coins with striking errors, misaligned dies, double strikes, or unusual planchets. Even minor anomalies can make a once common coin worth hundreds of times its face value. Now here's where the treasure hunt magic comes in. Imagine digging through your old coin jar, pulling out a 2 shilling piece dated before decimalization, and realizing it carries an error variety. That 10p piece you thought was pocket change could actually be worth a fortune. And because so many people tossed their florins into drawers and jars after 1971, pristine examples remain hidden in collections and households today. The year 1984 serves as a kind of marker for collectors, the last full decade when the old shillings and florins circulated alongside decimal money. Finding a George VI legend coin still in use in 1984 was like touching living history. Collectors don't just see these as coins, they see them as time capsules. Each 2 shilling coin carries the story of an empire, a monarchy, and the long journey toward modern decimal money. For a generation who grew up with 2 bob in their pockets, these coins represent memory, nostalgia, and heritage. For younger collectors, they represent opportunity, the chance to own a piece of history that could grow in value year after year. Auction houses in the UK and abroad have sold rare florins for thousands, particularly high-grade proofs and errors. And the mythos around rare 1980s finds continues to inspire treasure hunters today. So let's end with this thought. The next time you come across an old 2 shilling coin, don't dismiss it as scrap metal. Check the details, study the inscriptions, look for errors, and consider the history it carries. You could be holding a piece of Britain's numismatic legacy, and perhaps a coin worth far more than you imagine. Berthoam, you might be treasure worth millions. These ultra-rare UK coins are sending shockwaves, and the humble 2 shillings could be your ticket to fortune. This is Coin. Got it high voltage? You'd like a long, single-paragraph, 10-minute style script, about 1,000 to 1,200 words, for your YouTube channel in your Coin Quest World treasure hunt style, focusing on the 1948 UK 1 shilling coin with the George VI legend. I'll give you the hype, the full history, the design, the rarity, and the collector value all blended in one continuous flow so you can narrate it straight through. Movie Camera YouTube Script 1948 UK 1 shilling coin. Welcome back to Coin Quest World Globe showing Europe Africa, where everyday pocket change can turn into life-changing treasure, and today we are diving into one of the most fascinating coins of post-war Britain, the 1948 United Kingdom 1 shilling coin, a piece that looks ordinary at first glance but carries with it a storm of history, politics, rarity, and collector excitement that could make you a millionaire overnight if you happen to have the right version hiding in your collection. Because Berthoam, you might be treasure worth millions, and these ultra-rare UK coins are sending shockwaves in the numismatic world. Let's break it down. The 1 shilling coin, valued at 12 pence, was part of the old pre-decimal system that Britain used for centuries until 1971, and the shilling was one of the most iconic denominations in that system, used daily in shops, pubs, and markets. By 1948, the nation was just beginning to recover from the devastation of the Second World War, rationing was still in effect, the economy was fragile, and yet coins like the humble shilling carried on circulating as everyday symbols of stability. The reigning monarch at the time was King George VI, and his portrait adorns the obverse of the coin, modeled by the engraver Thomas Humphrey Paget, showing the king facing left in dignified profile. Around his image runs the Latin legend, Georgiv 6 DG Brom Rex Fidei Def, meaning George VI, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, defender of the faith. What makes the 1948 issue so historically important is that it was among the first British shillings not to carry the title INDIMP, Emperor of India, because India had achieved independence in 1947, which meant that George VI was no longer Emperor of India, and thus from 1948 onwards this ancient imperial title vanished from the coinage. That small detail transforms the 1948 shilling into a coin of transition, a marker of Britain's shrinking empire and its shift into a new era. On the reverse, there were actually two distinct designs in circulation. The English shilling, showing a crowned lion standing on a crown, with the words FID def 1 shilling and the date, and the Scottish shilling, showing a crowned lion rampant within a double trace sure flory counterflory, again with the date and denomination. Collectors today seek both varieties, and many people love building pairs of English and Scottish shillings for each year. The 1948 shillings were struck in copper nickel, not silver, because after 1946 the British government withdrew silver from circulation due to financial strains. So while older shillings had a 50% silver content, the 1948 issue was all base metal, yet it still shines with history. In terms of specs, the coin weighs 5.65 grams, has a diameter of 23.5 millimeters, and a milled edge, standard for the denomination at the time. Now, let's talk value. A circulated 1948 shilling may only fetch a pound or two in average condition, but high-grade uncirculated examples can be worth 20 to 50 pounds, and sometimes higher if certified by grading services. Where things get truly exciting is in the realm of errors and rare varieties. If you find a 1948 shilling with a double strike, an off-center strike, a die crack across the design, or a coin struck slightly off metal, those could be worth hundreds, even thousands, because error coins are by nature unique accidents. Collectors pay big premiums for such pieces because they are scarce and tell a story of the minting process gone wrong. Some rare die varieties of the 1948 shilling, such as subtle differences in the shape of lettering or spacing of the date, are also sought after by advanced collectors. What makes this coin extra appealing is its historical symbolism. This was Britain in 1948, rebuilding from war, losing its empire, but still clinging to tradition, and the shilling was the perfect emblem of continuity and change. The removal of INDIMP is more than a change of inscription, it's a reminder of how coins reflect the shifting map of global power. To hold a 1948 shilling is to hold a piece of that story in your hands, a story of kingship, resilience, and empire. And here's the treasure hunt angle. Millions of these coins were minted, but most were heavily circulated and worn down, thrown into drawers or melted, which means that pristine examples and rare errors are the ones that bring big money at auction today. Imagine you're sorting through an old jar of coins left by your grandparents. You find a 1948 English or Scottish shilling. You check it carefully and realize the strike is misaligned or the lettering is doubled. Suddenly that small piece of change could be your golden ticket to wealth. Collectors around the world are willing to pay astonishing sums for coins that combine rarity, error, and historical importance, and the 1948 shilling fits that profile perfectly. So the next time you come across a shilling, especially one dated 1948, don't dismiss it as just another old coin, because hidden treasure is often disguised as the ordinary, and this coin could very well be the one that makes your fortune. Birth OM, you might be treasure worth millions, and these ultra-rare UK coins are sending shockwaves across the collector's market. This is CoinQuest World, reminding you to always check your change, dig into those jars, and look twice at those family heirlooms, because history, wealth, and treasure might just be hiding in the palm of your hand. White heavy check mark, that's a single flowing 10-minute style paragraph, 1100 words, packed with history, rarity, and treasure hunt drama. Would you like me to also prepare a special version comparing the English versus Scottish 1948 shillings so you can make a side-by-side YouTube video episode? Here we go. High voltage. You'd like a long single paragraph, 10-minute style script, around 1000 to 1200 words, for your YouTube channel in CoinQuest World style, this time about the 1951 UK 1 shilling coin of King George VI with the inscription Georgiev's 6DGBROMN Rex Fidei Def. I'll make it dramatic, historical, and treasure hunt inspired, just like you like it. Movie camera YouTube script. 1951 UK 1 shilling coin. Welcome back to CoinQuest World Globe showing Europe Africa, where pocket change turns into treasure and everyday coins can suddenly make you a millionaire overnight, because birth OM. You might be treasure worth millions, and these ultra-rare UK coins are sending shockwaves in the collecting world, and today's focus is on the 1951 United Kingdom 1 shilling coin, a humble piece of pre-decimal British currency that is so much more than a fragment of old money, because it captures the story of a nation still recovering from war, adjusting to global change, and reflecting its monarchy and heritage in every strike of metal, and this is why collectors today hunt these coins with passion. The shilling, valued at 12 old pence, was an everyday workhorse in Britain's pre-decimal system, circulating from the Victorian era right up until decimalisation in 1971, when it was replaced by the 5 new pence coin. But in 1951 the shilling was still going strong, and King George VI was the monarch whose profile proudly adorned its obverse. Designed by Thomas Humphrey Paget, the portrait shows George VI facing left, surrounded by the Latin legend Georgius 6DGBROMN Rex Fidei Def, which translates to George VI, by the grace of God, King of all the Britons, defender of the faith. You'll notice that by this time the title IND-IMP was long gone, having been removed in 1948 following India's independence, which means that coins like the 1951 shilling represent the new post-imperial identity of Britain, marking a turning point in world history where the coinage itself bore witness to a shrinking empire. On the reverse side, there were two designs. The English shilling, featuring a crowned lion standing proudly atop the royal crown, with the words FID Def 1 shilling and the date, and the Scottish shilling, showing a majestic crowned lion rampant within a decorative trace shore, again with the denomination and date. These twin designs symbolized the union of England and Scotland within the UK, and both circulated equally, giving collectors today a reason to collect pairs for each year. The coin itself was struck in copper nickel, because after 1946 Britain had permanently abandoned silver in circulating coinage, meaning that the 1951 shilling lacks intrinsic silver value but makes up for it with historical and collector appeal. Specifications remain classic: 5.65 grams in weight, 23.5 millimeters in diameter, and a milled edge, instantly recognizable to those who grew up with 2 bob and 1 bob bits jingling in their pockets. But here is where it gets exciting. Value today depends on condition, rarity, and errors. A well-worn 1951 shilling may only fetch a small amount, perhaps a pound or two, but higher-grade examples in uncirculated condition can easily bring 15 to 40 pounds, and coins that are slabbed and graded can climb higher depending on demand. What really excites collectors, though, are the minting errors and rare varieties. Double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and rotation errors can turn an ordinary 1951 shilling into a coin worth hundreds, sometimes even thousands, because error coins are by definition unique, freak accidents of the minting process that slip through quality control and into circulation, making them rare and desirable. Imagine finding one in your pocket change back in the 1950s and not realizing you had a future treasure. Now consider this. The year 1951 was also when the Festival of Britain took place, a national exhibition showcasing the country's recovery and cultural achievements, and while the crown coin struck for that event gets most of the attention, the humble shilling from the same year is a quieter but equally powerful witness to that era of rebuilding. Collectors love that connection, because coins are not just money, they are historical artifacts that tell stories of nations and people. And here's the treasure hunt hook. Millions of 1,951 shillings were struck, but the vast majority were heavily circulated, scratched, and worn down through daily use, and very few survive today in pristine condition, which is why collectors fight over gem-quality examples and pay premiums for errors or proof-like strikes. So, the next time you come across a 1951 1 shilling coin, don't dismiss it as just an old piece of metal, because it carries the face of a king, the legacy of empire, the memory of a nation rebuilding, and possibly the chance at hidden fortune if you've got the right rarity in your hands. Birth OM, you might be treasure worth millions, because even something as small as a shilling can shake the collector market when the right error or grade appears, and these ultra-rare UK coins are continuing to send shockwaves around the world. This is CoinQuest World, reminding you that history, heritage, and hidden wealth might just be lying unnoticed in your coin jars and drawers, waiting for the moment you discover the truth. White heavy check mark, that's a full 10-minute single-paragraph script, 1,100 words, dramatic, detailed, and perfect for narration. Would you like me to also create a special English versus Scottish comparison script just for the 1951 shilling so you can make a dual variant style YouTube episode?